This week, a war of words erupted between Donald Trump and Iran, and it put pretty much everyone on edge. And the reason why? It all comes down to this tiny strip of water that could, quite literally, bring the global economy to a screeching halt. So let's get into it and break down exactly what is going on here.
Everything really kicked off with this post on Truth Social. Donald Trump made this incredibly bold promise about oil in the Persian Gulf. It's a promise that has massive implications for global energy. But what does it actually mean?
So what we're looking at here is, for all intents and purposes, an ultimatum from Trump on oil. But you have to ask, in a region that's already on such high alert, what would it even take to enforce something like that?
Well, Trump's statement definitely cranked up the heat in the Gulf. But here's the thing. As the source material really points out, it was all big talk, all rhetoric, with zero detail on the how. Are we talking diplomacy, military action, something else entirely? The world was just kind of left guessing.
Oh, but the oil ultimatum wasn't the only shot fired. Not by a long shot. Trump also put out this very direct warning to Iran about a new and, let's say, very controversial idea they had, charging fees for ships that are just trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz.
And Trump's response? Well, it was about as blunt as you can get. He made it crystal clear that any Iranian plan to start charging for passage through the Strait was, a complete non-starter. End of story.
So what was this Iranian plan exactly? Well, according to the Financial Times, it was this multi-layered strategy. First, impose fees on any ships passing through. Second, get this, demand payment in cryptocurrency. And third, roll it all out under the cover of a 2-week ceasefire. As you can probably guess, Western leaders were not having it.
Okay, let's just pause here for a second. We've got a ceasefire, these new proposed fees, Trump's ultimatums. It is a lot to take in. To really understand how we got to this point, we need to rewind the clock just a few weeks.
See, the context for all of this, the reason it's all happening now, is a very recent and really rapid military escalation in the region. An escalation that, believe it or not, ended in a surprise ceasefire announcement.
And things escalated so quickly. It all kicked off with strikes on Iran. Then came the retaliation. And right after that, out of nowhere, this ceasefire was announced. Which brings us right up to speed, setting the stage for this week's War of Words.
Now, with a situation this volatile, you know what happens next, right? The political spin machines go into complete overdrive. Trump is out there claiming a major victory. But, well, not everybody is buying it.
And in a direct shot at his critics, Trump just doubled down. He insisted it is a victory, and he dismissed any suggestion that he was jumping the gun by calling it that.
So right there you have two completely different stories. On one hand, you have Trump declaring this decisive victory. And on the other, you have the Wall Street Journal saying, whoa, hold on, and calling that very same claim premature.
And he didn't stop there. He actually expanded his claim of victory to include a much bigger prize, saying that because of him, Iran will never ever develop a nuclear weapon.
But this all begs a huge question, right? Why is there so much fuss over one narrow strait? To really get the stakes here, we have to look at the absolutely massive role the Strait of Hormuz plays in the entire global economy.
Think of it like this. The Strait of Hormuz is basically a giant bottleneck. It is the only way for ships to get from the Persian Gulf out into the open ocean, which makes it one of the most strategic, most important waterways in the entire world.
And when you're talking about oil, the Strait of Hormuz is king. A massive chunk of the world's daily oil supply has to pass through this one single, narrow channel every single day.
So, what that means is any kind of disruption in the strait, doesn't matter if it's a military conflict, a blockade, or even these new fees we're talking about, any of it has the power to send total shockwaves through the global economy. And that hits everybody, you, me, all of us, right in the wallet.
So let's just do a quick recap. Trump has thrown down the gauntlet with this bold ultimatum to Iran about oil and transit fees. This is all happening right after a military flare-up and a surprise ceasefire. The bullseye of all this is the Strait of Hormuz, which is absolutely critical for the global oil supply. And for now, the situation is basically all talk and not a lot of confirmed action.
And all of this leads us to the one big unanswered question. In a region this on edge, are tough words actually enough to keep the oil flowing? Or is what we're seeing just the calm before a much bigger storm? That's what everyone is trying to figure out right now.